a fortnight on Saturday, David Haye will defend his WBA heavyweight title against Audley Harrison. Let's go live to our reporter Craig Slater, who's with the Haye camp today. Craig.
Booth, David Haye's manager, his trainer as well, and today the 13th most influential person in British boxing, according to Boxing Monthly. So esteemed company we have today. But I have to say, Adam, last time we came here about this period before the fight, there's a load of lies and deceit, I was told, because you said David had been sparring fine, everything had been going well, but we found out later he had a cut, wasn't able to spar. So tell us the truth. How has this camp gone? Has it been injury free, and how is everything?
He's been cut about 4 times, dropped about 8 times. He's overweight, and I'm just praying that Audley turns up like normal, because David will still beat him in that shape.
Fair enough, but no, we understand he has been sparring well. You had Tony Thompson over, who's a top class, world rated southpaw. So I mean, everything is going well. Reassure us of that, surely.
Yes.
Not giving much away. I wonder though, looking around this gym, if you could just explain, you know, you've got lots of different equipment here. A lot of it's very obvious what you're doing with it, but what have you been using specifically in the run up to this? What have you been focusing on?
Audley's head. It's there.
Which is down there, yes. Okay, let's spin around. Let's take a look at Audley then, because we've got to get into this at some point, I guess. But there is Audley Harrison. Now, looking at this picture, this is Audley, I think, after the Michael Sprott fight, I think, Adam. But you can see the look of triumph on his face. Look at the blood-spattered trunks. I guess that picture does tell a story that, you know, he can be a warrior if he wants to be. Now, what kind of Audley Harrison are you expecting on the night? There's a lot of criticism over the years, but has he maybe got one last big performance in him?
Yeah, you know, we expect the best Audley. We actually expect Audley to be better than he ever has done before. You should never train and prepare for a fight looking at the weaknesses of your opposition. You've got to imagine that he's going to be bigger and better and faster and harder and stronger than ever before. And that's exactly what David's had in his mind's eye the whole time. David knows that Audley knows him. Audley knows that David knows Audley. You know, so there's no secrets. And what you've got to do is not take anything for granted. Ignore what's happened before and focus on what could happen in every eventuality on November 13th.
I mean, what does that picture say to you? I mean, you see the look of, I have achieved, you know, on his face. He has had a fragile mentality in the past. He hasn't been so confident. He says he's got his mojo back, you know, he says he's full of confidence. Is he talking himself up, or does he genuinely believe it?
I don't really care. I hope he has got his mojo back, because David's in boxing because he loves fighting. And I'm a trainer because I love training fighters that like to fight. And we want David to be in a fight. And so if Audley brings his A game, as he keeps referring to it, then there's going to be some good entertainment.
Bit of controversy though, because Audley now has to come over here and train. I mean, he'll be getting himself, he's staying in Westminster in fact, so he'll be using a central London gym a bit like this. But you've mandated in the contract that he has to come back 18 days before the fight. He's had high altitude training. Was that a deliberate tactic to try and take the edge, the benefits, you know, take away the benefits of his altitude training?
No. We don't need it. We don't need an advantage in this one. We already have the advantage, and that's David Haye. And remember, Audley signed the contract before he decided where to train. If he wanted to train at altitude, it's up to him. And the fact that he's come back 18 days prior to the fight, where, you know, the red blood cells that get produced in sort of hyperbaric scenario can't be used. That's his problem.
You think he's going to train in an oxygen tent? That's what he's going. Or he's going to stay.
That's hypoxic. That isn't the same as training at altitude. But listen, if you're looking for ways to overload your body in training, that's good, because it's going to make you have to work in reduced circumstances. So that will make him fitter, it'll make him more determined. And I'm glad that he's looking to test himself in training. I really am.
Okay, let's just take another little walk around here, because you've got some other equipment that you've used in previous fights. You've got the Verticlimb over here that I think you brought in for the Nikolai Valuev fight. Now, we're talking about Audley having a height, you know, and a reach advantage over David. I mean, it's listed as 86-inch for Audley Harrison, the reach, 78 for David.
Tie shoelaces up without bending, huh?
Apparently. But, I mean, having beaten the tallest and heaviest world heavyweight champion in history, does that mean the kind of size disadvantages David have don't mean much?
David boxed a lot of fellas who were 6'6" in the amateurs, you know, when he boxes Eastern Europeans and Germans who are well schooled and well graded international champions. in the amateur code, you know, a lot of them are 6'6", and a lot of them are southpaws as well. So it's nothing new.
But his trainer, Shadid Saliki's had one or two things to say about you. He's from the old school. He worked under Eddie Fudge. I guess he's looking over at you, Adam Booth, with your qualifications in anatomy and physiology and all that kind of thing. You're very much new school, at least that's what it would appear to him from the outside. But he reckons, you know, can you cut it if David's in a bad period in the fight? Can you turn things around in the corner? I guess you'll have seen the interview. How do you respond to it?
It's my problem. It's not his problem. He's got a bigger problem than me come fight night. And it's actually ironic because I saw the interview and I don't know Sadiq. I passed 3 words to him when I got introduced to him at the press conference, and all I said was, "How are you doing?" That was it. If he can sort of assess my 30 years of experience in amateur and professional boxing from 3 words, and know everything I do and don't know and everything I can and can't do, if he can genuinely do that, then I'm in a whole heap of trouble come fight night.
Okay, fair enough. Interesting. David's though, what's his mindset like? You always tell me he hates training, he loves fighting. Is he hating training a little bit less in the build up to this because he's motivated, because of it, the bad blood between them, if you like?
No, and I didn't leave that to chance either, because I brought Tony Thompson in early. Now Tony Thompson is a genuine world-class southpaw, strong, tough. Took Vladimir 11 rounds, gave Vladimir a problem in the first few rounds, spars with the Klitschko's all the time. So I knew that, you know, he's a fighter to the bone and that he could try and test David in the gym. And because of that, right from the get-go in training camp, David had to be on it because that's who he had in front of him.
The question they've posed though is, what happens if Audley's left hand at full power detonates on David's chin? They say David didn't want to answer that question. Do you want to answer that question now?
Who said that David didn't want to answer that question?
Audley Harrison said that.
I don't understand. What is the question then?
Well,
what happens if it detonates?
Yeah, if it lands on his chin. It lands on his chin.
Time will tell. Time will tell firstly if he can actually land it, and if he does manage to land it, and that's the first obstacle he's got to overcome. The second question is what will happen when he does. But the first question is, can he?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the question back, I guess, is does David think he's invincible? And surely no fighter is.
No fighter is invincible, and David certainly doesn't think he's invincible. He knows he's not the perfect fighter, which is why he strives to work on certain things. But you know, you mustn't misread the type of fighter that David is, or the style, or the rhythm, or the strengths that he has. Because I guess, you know, this old school reference, it refers to sort of drilling of old school disciplines and old school styles and old school moves, and you know, and that's a tried and tested route. But David's a different type of athlete, and if you look at the fighters who have broken through the barriers of boxing and the fighters that seem to be ahead of their times, the Roy Jones, the Sugar Ray Leonards, the Sugar Ray Robinsons, they all did something that wasn't at that time old school. They did something that was new, with the low left hand, with the flash genetic moves and stuff like that. They were always ahead of their time, which means that they weren't old school. And David's definitely not an old school fighter.
Okay, finally, Adam, then, we'll take a look at the boxing ring, because I guess that's where the most important training goes on, and the sparring and everything else. Tell us what we can expect from this workout here today.
Well, in all honesty, David's sparring tonight. He has 12 rounds sparring to do tonight. So this session is actually just an innovation session, so he's just going to do some shadow boxing to keep himself awake, because it's a bad thing to get too relaxed before a hard session. There's a little bit of the bursa climber, not the verticlimber, as you quite nicely put it. Some little power drills with the medicine ball, so that come tonight's 12-round sparring, he's ready for that type of action.
Okay, finally then, I say jokingly 13th most influential person in boxing. David Haye's up there as well. You've got a lot of money now, you've got your own promotional firm. Is it as much fun now with all the big deals and all the money? Is there the same innocent fun in a training camp now that you used to have in the beginning?
I love what I do. I love it with a passion, and I'm lucky, I'm fortunate, and so I make the most of every day when I do what I do, because nothing lasts forever, and I know that when I'm older I won't be training fighters and I won't be doing this. So I thrive on every day and I thrive on every challenge.
Okay, Adam, thank you very much. Thanks for having us in the camp. It's always good to be in here. You get great access here. And yes, we will be seeing David Haye going through his paces with Adam Booth live in that ring a little bit later on today. Adam, as I say, 13th most influential person in British boxing according to Boxing Monthly. David Haye, the third most influential person in British boxing. But my goodness, that status will take a tumble if he comes a cropper against Audley Harrison.
Oh, it's all set up rather beautifully. Thanks very much, Craig. And Shadid Saluki, Harrison's trainer, is going to join us in the studio as well, so he can have his right to reply to Adam Booth there, saying no problems in their camp. And you can, of course, see Haye against Harrison live on Saturday, November the 13th. Coverage starts from 9 p.m. on Skybox Office HD. Visit Skybox Office for more details of how you can order the fight.